Ladies, gents, and everyone under the sun, welcome back to another episode of the Container Podcast, episode 20. And with me, Jackie and Kyle. What's up, guys?
Hello.
Well,
Yo, is there something with your mic?
there's something with my mic.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah,
no.
you're
What,
good now. You're
what is it?
good. You're good now.
Just we could hardly hear you when you said hi.
It was pretty bad,
Oh,
bro.
I'm fine. All right. Okay,
Yeah,
all
you're
right.
fine. You're fine now.
Okay, I'm sorry. All right. So yeah, no, it's going well. It's going well.
Did you get your COVID shot, guys, or not yet?
Not yet, not yet.
Is
Means
it-
gonna be in 6 days. Although I might go tomorrow because I know they have without no
Appointments.
appointment needed.
Yeah,
So
I heard about it from Jackie. I might go too. We might meet there.
Yeah, yeah, it's a good spot if you don't want to wait too long because mine was in June, so I was like, I might not wait. Might get this over with quicker.
Did you get yours yet or no?
No, I didn't get mine.
Okay.
I'm thinking about getting mine tomorrow. So it's
Well, we can go at the same time.
yeah. I mean, we're almost there. So yeah, we could do that.
I mean, to be honest, the first shot, it's time. I'm like the old people already had it for a while now. Now it's the youth. It's our
Yeah.
time.
Everybody in
Yeah.
my family has it. My girlfriend has it. Her family has it. Like everybody on her family side. So it's like I'm the only one left right now. So
The fear of missing out, the FOMO.
yeah, exactly. And now that because here in Montreal we have well, like I'm sure everywhere in the world, a mask mandate, but we have what do you call that? I forget how you call it in English.
What? The
A curfew.
the curfew, okay.
Yeah, curfew, and that makes it that we can't go out after 9:30. So it's in the beginning was fine, but now it's getting pretty annoying, and I'm tired of it.
It is, man. To be honest, I don't know. I really think that this crisis has lasted long enough, and that we should, with this vaccine, move on from it.
Yeah,
I really
yeah,
hope so.
absolutely.
But speaking of moving on, the segue into today's
Ooh,
homework.
nice
we
segue, nice segue.
we watched The Farewell. The
Yeah.
Farewell, a movie that was proposed by you, Kyle, I believe.
No, no, it was actually by Jackie.
Yeah, no,
Mm.
I proposed it. Yeah.
Although, correct me if I'm wrong, I think I proposed it to you to watch it a couple months ago.
Yeah, that's
Yes, exactly.
maybe
Yeah, that's
why
right.
I associated with you.
Yeah. So initially it's Kyle that suggested the movie, and I watched it, and I thought that it was a great movie. So I was thinking, yeah, I think we should. I think that Momo should definitely see it so that we can discuss it on the podcast. So that's why I recommended it last week.
And what a great suggestion,
So
man.
yeah, yeah. So there it go. There you go.
You see, if you
I don't
weren't
know
if you
how
weren't if you weren't gonna propose it, I think I was gonna propose it sooner because I think it's
yeah. See.
so I was surprised when you proposed it because like because I knew you enjoyed it, but that enough for you to propose it, and I didn't think we really spoke about it. We mentioned it. I think you had said that you had enjoyed it, but we never talked more than just, oh yeah, I enjoyed it. So it's gonna be fun.
Yeah, because I knew that at one point we are going to discuss it on the podcast. So I was like, saving my full review for today, so that we could discuss it with Momo. Since I think it's a movie that can can generate a lot of discussion, honestly. So that's why I
And
wanted to wait for
a
the
good
podcast.
discussion. I'm sure that it's gonna
Oh
be
yeah,
fire today. We watched it
yeah,
about like in the early afternoon, so it's pretty
yeah.
last minute, but we did our homework, and yeah, it was your second view, I think, viewing of the movie,
Yeah, it was my second viewing. Yeah.
and it was my first. So it was a very good experience. The movie is made by Lulu Wang, a name that I never heard before in the industry. But don't talk to me about filming and that industry. Talk to Kyle. Have you ever seen one of her movies?
No, no, not at all. To this day, I'm looking at her IMDb page right now,
Yeah.
and I have not seen any of her movies. But from what I can look at, um, she did a lot of shorts,
Mm-hmm.
and before The Farewell, she had only done one featured film, and
Okay.
I don't think it wasn't something that exploded or anything. It was just it barely made any news.
Okay. I don't know why, but it felt like a very well-made
Experience.
movie. Yeah, and like with experience. I don't know. It gave me the feeling of quality foreign movies, like we might have watched in the past, be it Iranian or Korean. This time it seems to be Chinese, but I do not know if.
From what I remember, I'm not sure. We'd have to check that, but it's a Chinese American uh, movie.
Okay.
So it was distributed by A24, which is, if you guys are aware, A24. We've actually already seen one of their movies, Hereditary,
Oh,
and
okay.
yeah, they've done many 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 movies. So yeah, they're actually, I really like that studio. They always make these little, movies that are a bit out there, like Hereditary, and I don't know if you guys seen, but The Lighthouse, Uncut Gems, Moonlight
Ah,
that actually won in 2016.
I heard about Moonlight and Uncut Gems. Yes,
Yeah, but Ex Machina,
never
those
heard.
some big 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 movies. So if ever you guys want a little, I describe it as just off the beaten track, like just a bit weird or just different, like artistic, let's say, but that they have more exposure. A24.
Okay, that's good to know. I think it might become a future list of homework. I think from the names you listed, uh, many have caught my interest, even my parents' interest. They wanted to see Moonlight once, and I had to provide them the movie with whatever means I could. So let's keep
Yeah,
it
yeah,
at that.
absolutely.
Uh,
You
yes, you were about to say something, Jackie.
you bought the DVD.
Yes, that's it. That's the thing. But if we start reviewing the actual movie,
Yeah.
it's
I
a
don't know if you
movie.
you want to start.
Yeah,
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 just start with a little summary
yeah. It's a movie
of the
about
story.
uh, immigrants living in New York, living their lives, their busy lives, and there comes a point in the very early movie where there is a problem. There is like an emergency situation, and the parents have difficulty keeping quiet and making it seem like it's not a big deal. So the the child, who is the main lead of the movie, caught on and then gets into what is actually happening. And what's happening is that under the pretense of a wedding, the all the family that have immigrated around the world will meet for a rare occasion, right? It never happened before, or like very rarely. And that's the false pretense just to be able to spend some time with the grandma who is suffering from stage 4 lung cancer and has been estimated to be able to live for another 3 months. That is the premise of the movie. And the reason why they didn't want that specific, the main character, our main girl that you can see in the center of the image, is because she's very tied to her grandma and very emotional. So she would definitely sell the lead to the grandma and make all their efforts of making it seem like a trip for a wedding be useless. So, but in the end, she spent the money and still went there, and that's when the movie starts and gets very interesting. Did you want to complete anything, guys?
No, I think
Um,
you you were able to summarize it quite well.
Good. Any thoughts about the intro?
I remember first time watching it. So this was nominated at the Oscars, but it was nominated at the Golden Globes, and it had won the main girl there, Aquafina. She had won Best Actress
Hmm.
that year, and I don't know. I just on like that. I was trying to look at something to watch, and I watched it. And the beginning was it intrigued me, right? But I wasn't sold yet. I wasn't sold yet. It was only until I think you meet the grandmother for the first time, which isn't that long into the movie, but that's when I find the two gems in the movie are Billy and Nai Nai,
Yes.
which I found their relationship, it was just, I don't know, it was just phenomenal.
Like you said, so main character, Billy, and Nanai, the grandma, it was priceless, man. Like, you told me, right? You said that this movie will definitely strike a chord with me. And I'm not gonna lie,
Did it do that?
your bet was 100% on the money. That's for sure.
Yeah, every time I spoke to Jackie about it. I always said, you know, you, we have to show him because I think family is something that you know, you really really care about, and it's something that is important to you. And I think this movie, one of the main theme is exactly that, which is family. So, and
Definitely.
especially your grandmother.
Yeah.
You always we when we were younger, you always spoke about her, and about you she lives in Algeria, and she's far away, right? So I think it kind of maybe similar situation, well, not similar situation, but I mean where
No, you
you're not
can
in
say
contact
that. You can definitely say that
you're
because I
not in contact with her
recognized
all the time.
myself and my situation uh, with theirs, and specific scenes were the exact same, right? Regardless of cultural differences between the Chinese and the Algerians. But the the fact of the matter is that many children of immigration have gone through exactly that, and it was refreshing to see. It was refreshing to see such a relatable movie because many people, especially these days, want representation in their movie. They want to feel represented in the stories that they see in the cinema, and I definitely understand why uh, people are like really getting behind that trend of wanting more actors of their ethnicity subject matters that are talked about, or because this movie spoke to me on a personal level like not many other movies can, because of those very specific things that are proper to, like I said, the children of immigration. So it was absolutely a blast. Like Jackie was listening to the movie with me, and he could hear me having a laugh at so many things, and pointing out how sometimes it's kind of crazy how similar uh, like some scenes are to the reality. It's it's a very everybody like who has a upbringing similar like that will recognize uh, those stereotypes and those scenes and those moments. And I want to talk about them more in detail, but we'll go step by step. So I just wanted to say that you were right on the money and that it really spoke to me. Yep, that's for sure.
One question that I have is for Jackie. Um, did you? Because I find when you rewatch a movie, it's when you decide, you like confirm if if you really liked it, or it was just, on the spot, or you know with a second viewing, you see everything clearer, right? You see stuff that maybe you didn't notice before and stuff like that. What was your take on that?
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. It's the second time that you decide whether or not it was just like the first impression that gave you like your first decision whether or not you liked it. But I have to say that the second time I watched that movie, I liked it more than the first time that I watched it.
Okay.
So and it's really weird because at the end, when so at the end of the movie, she's leaving China, right, with her dad and her mom. They're in the car, and they just drive away from her grandma. And the first time that I saw it, I was like, "This is a nice scene." But the second time that I saw it, so today, I don't know. I was almost tearing up, knowing what was going to happen. But I was almost tearing up because I don't know. It felt like on my second viewing, I paid so much more attention to details, and I saw the whole build up and the whole emotional journey that she has to go through until the final goodbye, the farewell at the end. So that in that final scene when she just says, when she waves her hand to her grandma and she leaves, it's devastating. Even though you know what that she's going to make it in the end, but I really enjoy it more the second time. It was much more emotional for me to see all the conversation, all her worries and the struggle that she had to keep a straight face while her grandma was dying. Also, so was she thinking. Uh, I really think that this movie is very special in the way it tells its story and the way it builds up momentum until the final reveal at the end.
the
Would
the
you
scene,
so
yeah, the scene that takes its name very well. It's the scene that the title is building up for. And I'm not gonna lie, a little bit of my life story. I always had a great deal of difficulty saying goodbye and taking off with the plane, right? It was always gut wrenching, uh, heartbreaking, tears were shed. Like it was very, very difficult every time that like we were getting closer to like by like okay, only one day left, you could feel the vibe changing. You could feel on the day that you're supposed to go, um, those emotions that the movie did an excellent job at portraying. And with the years, I kind of grew used to it. I didn't shed any more tears. I was thinking that it was just because I might have done it so many times that I kind of grew used to it. But after watching the movie, after seeing that scene, I couldn't help but cry. I was crying so much because it was exactly like that. And that shot that they made where you can see from the cab the rear window pointing to the grandma waving, that stuff is in our minds, the people that the children of immigration, right? That stuff is deeply ingrained in our minds, and it's never gonna leave us. And that shot was felt so real, brought back so many memories, and it brought back many questions that I always had. The main one was, why does it have to be like this? Why do we have to spend so much our lives separated from the people that love us the most and that we love the most? And to this day, I have an answer, but it's not a satisfying answer, right? I'm just like, dang. Thank God life is very busy. Thank God life keeps your mind occupied, has many good things for you, right? Um, and even bad things, but at least it's different. It puts you in a different headspace. But yeah, man, it's it's deep. It's really deep.
I mean, it's a true sacrifice to immigrate because you can see it in this family. It's so well presented because you got the older brother who's living in Japan, and the second brother who's living in America. But it's just the three of them. I mean, there's Billy and her two parents, but there's no one else is there. It's the only family she has, and you know, in that scene when she breaks down in front of her mother, she's like, "We left, and it's like we never came back because every time we came back, like it was because you know it was a special occasion. But at one point, her grandpa died. They moved from their house where she grew up. They changed the neighborhood, and now she came back, and it's because her grandma is dying. So every time that she comes back to her own country, everything is changing, and everything that she holds dear about her birthplace is disappearing. So it's this is what's really heavy to carry for immigrants is that you're trying to live your life in a different country, you're alone, and when you come back things are you know never the same. Even though you're happy to see everyone, it always feels like you're missing out whether or not you are in your country or in your home country or in your country of adoption. I don't know if you see you know what I mean.
Mm-hmm. I definitely do.
So yeah, so you see that's why it's such a powerful movie because it's a very difficult situation to live in. So I don't know, it's hard for families, especially in cultures where family is so important like that. I mean, you know what I'm talking about. You know specifically what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I do. Like, there is a reason why a grown ass man like me was crying warm tears uncontrollably. It's because it's really tied very closely to our hearts. Those people back there, even though we haven't seen them in so long, even though we mostly spent our time with each other from age 0 to 6, they were so present in our lives. My grandma was like a second mother to me. You could even say like a first mother to me, because my mom was so busy working that, and I wasn't at kindergarten, or I didn't have, uh, like a people that keep the child. Like you pay someone to keep the child. I don't know if you
Like a
call
nanny.
a nanny, right?
Yeah.
Uh, my grandma took that role, and she did great. Absolutely, I absolutely love those years, and I look back with a lot of fondness. I love those years, and they were so crucial to who I am that every time when I like right now when we're talking about it, I'm like I cannot believe that this person, I get to see this person at best once every 2 years. And I don't know, man, it's devastating. And for how long, right? A month? If I'm lucky? It's really, really tough.
Yeah.
Ah,
And
absolutely. Me. I think I have a bit. I think different because my grandmother isn't in another country. She used to. I actually lived with her
I
for my
was
first.
so happy for you, man. I remember. I don't know if I told you, but I always was like, Kyle, this is so amazing that you have your grandma living with you.
No, absolutely, and it's just for the first 16 years of my life, I lived with her day in day out, every day, and it was just I find she was my second mom, right? She because it was just me, my mom, and my grandmother. So it was just incredible to have her. And she passed away when I was 16, and that of course that hurt a lot, right?
Peace on her soul. Yep.
But she was old. She had a great life. So at the end of the day, uh, it's life, right? But it's just when I saw this movie, I think that's what really hit me the most was because I didn't really I knew it was about grandmother or whatever, but whatever. And then I watched it, and holy shit, it's just you have so many memories of that just come rushing back, and
It's like
having
floodgates.
yeah, yeah, and same thing as you. It's quite emotional on some scenes, and it's just like, and you're like, you just think of you know that person that I don't know. There's something special about grandmothers where they're just these like selfless. They're not worried about raising you and punishing you or whatever. It's just purely like pure love. It's just like, hey, let's spoil this kid. You know what I mean? It's just like let's and when you're eating, and of course grandmothers come from that old generation, right? And especially my grandmother, she didn't grow up with a lot of money,
Yeah.
and food was always this like you know they didn't have much food and stuff like that. So for me, it's like every time it was like, oh, you gotta eat, and it's like that mentality of I have to take care of you, like so. No,
Have you
it,
had
it hit
enough?
home.
Eat more. Eat. Here's a second plate, a third plate.
Exactly, exactly. But no, great, great. Love the movie, and yeah,
I think what makes this movie special is that it really subverted expectation because when you recommended it, um, and you said if you have a special relationship with your grandma, this movie is going to hit differently. So I was like, all right. So what I was expecting was I was expecting the movie where you have like the granddaughter grandma relationship. They love each other very much. She gets sick, and then she has to go back, and then she dies. And I really thought that this was going to be the plot, but it really, really was surprising to see that it was very different from what I expected. Because you know, the first thing is that it's not all about the sickness. It's really about culture. and that's why it's so interesting. This movie is that the conversation that you see between the family members at different occasion, like when you have Billy discussing with her uncle as she walks back to the hotel, when they're
Yeah,
having dinner and they have this scene in the restaurant. I love that scene when
Excellent.
they
Yep.
talk about sending one of the younger cousins to America, but at the same time they're like very proud to be Chinese, and they're like looking at the differences between the two countries. I found it very 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 how could we say relevant.
Not
And
only
what
relevant, but I thought it was on point. It was something
yes,
that maybe you didn't live, but you saw it through us,
yeah,
and
yeah, exactly.
it was
Well,
the exact same kind of discourse and positions, and maybe it was a little pushing it, right, when the grandma said, but remember that you're Chinese and you don't speak bad about China, right? Like it was some
but
kind of sinful thing to do, but
yeah,
because that.
yeah, well, you saw the father. The father was like, well, technically we're American. We have American passports, and we've been living in America for I don't know what it is. It's like 25 years.
Yes,
So
that
I
back
mean,
and forth was amazing.
yeah, I think it was great because at the same time there, I think Billy is a bit of I I identify a lot with her way of thinking throughout the whole movie because at first, at first until the end, I was like, why the fuck aren't they telling her? They should tell her. And
Because you're an
when
American, man.
yeah, well, honestly, that's why I thought that they should tell her. And when she's discussing with her uncle, and he's like, in the West, you're the the way of thinking is that one like your life belongs to you. It's your life. It's your decision. You make your own choices, and that's the way it goes. But he's like, in the East, it's not the way that it goes. And I was like, well, yeah. Now that I think about it, I'm pretty up for choosing for yourself. But as the movie goes on, and as Billy lives with her family and has all these discussion, you see that her mind changes a bit. Because in the end, she is able to say, you know what, I'm not going to tell her, and she's
Yeah,
able to leave the country without telling her. And this is what's amazing is that you have all this conversation where you're like on the side of you should have told her, you should have told her, and I don't like this culture, I don't like the way they're thinking, the way they're working. But at the end, when you see that after her diagnosis, like 6 years after her diagnosis, she's still alive, that really made me like sit back and go like, whoa, this is really impressive.
three
Because
months tops, stage 4 cancer.
yeah, yeah.
but my question
And she
is like, I get all of that, but at the end, if you have stage 4 cancer, even if you don't know it, like it will kill you. Like, like there's no like, so I'm sure she got treatment, right?
Mm-hmm.
She figured it out at one point and she got treatment. So
well, we don't know about that.
yeah, but that's my question, right? That's like my, because in my mind it's like at the end she must have figured it out, right? That she had it and then underwent treatment and then survived it, because stage 4 is is brutal. It kills you. You know what I mean? It just, so I would like to know. I would like to know if
Did she
Ah, okay,
figure
you
it
like
out?
okay.
Maybe. Old people
Did
sometimes they
she?
can be quite oblivious.
Yeah, yeah, I know, but I mean, 6 years with stage 4 cancer, I think that's unheard of. I don't think you can cure yourself from that. Well, maybe, I don't know, like I'm not a doctor or anything there, but I think at one point she figures it out. I wouldn't. It would be surprising to me.
Like she's like, yo, those pills, man, those antibiotics, they hit different. I've been losing hair, but it's chemo, right?
Well, I think that's a great question because I really don't know. Because
But
to
yeah,
me, I think that
that
yeah.
is
Go
one
ahead.
question I think that is one of the funnest to think about, right? Is forget about the ending that she survives and everything. Let's say she passes away,
Yeah,
right?
Hmm.
Do you think that it's morally right or wrong to hide the truth from her?
I am 100% with that way of thinking, the family's way of thinking.
You
There's no
see,
way.
even after seeing the movie, I understood that point of view better. I really understand it, but I find it still objectively morally wrong.
I don't think it is.
Why not?
You would have to tell me why it is morally wrong first,
Well,
you know?
okay, I'll go at it. I'll give it a crack. Right? So forget about me personally, okay? Because personally, if somebody did that to me, I would not like that. Like it's my life, no matter what, right? I know it's and just the fact that cancer is now not this uncurable, it is a horrible sickness and it kills a lot of people, especially that late stage, right? But there is new treatments, new technology that makes it that you have a fighting chance. And I think that if you do not even give somebody the chance and the to make their own decision on if they want to fight it or not, I think that's morally wrong because you're choosing for that other person that you will die. And I think that's wrong. I think
I think
a
that's
somebody
wrong. I really do. But I think it's a stretch because you said that you were you were like in French we say condamné, and in English it's not the same word. It's not condemned. It's
condemned.
you think so?
Yeah, it is. It's a
It's
it's a
double
real
meaning, right? But the meaning I want to
Hold it
say,
from us.
what? Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. They really did. The English people, man, I swear.
That boy Shakespeare
So yeah,
invented. I don't know how many words. Stole half of it from French. I swear to
Honestly,
God.
if I'm not mistaken, and that this could be a fact that I took straight out of my ass. I Please do not take this at face value. But if I remember, and again, I know there was a three in the number, but I don't know if it's 3,000 or 30,000 words that were stolen from French for English. I don't know, so don't quote on me. But yeah, it's a big number that I could ask my girlfriend. She's in linguistics. I'll next podcast. I'll let you guys know what the answer.
it's gonna be amazing, man. A whole podcast roasting the English language. But yeah, just to get back onto the track, you said that you were in a way condemning the person to die. You were refusing them
Well, not condemning them to die, but
the treat
not letting
themselves,
them,
not treat themselves. It's
the
wrong
decision, the
to
decision to
medically uh, cure themselves, right? But the thing is, they are, right? They are choosing the treatment. The choice is not left to the individual, it's the group that makes that choice. That grandma didn't live off fresh air and fresh water for 6 years with terminal stage 4 cancer. she was getting some medicine, like I said, possibly chemotherapy through the pills, but they told her it was antibiotics or something like that. So
Yeah.
if you see what I mean is that you are not trying to actively bar the person from saving their life. You're not actively trying to kill that person. You're actually trying to do what's best for her to preserve their mental health and try to do your best for the physical health too. But the concerned person is not involved in the process. And that's something that many have a problem with, especially in America, right? But in our cultures, it's kind of well understood. You're like Kyle said, experimental stuff, right? Because you really think that you know better than the whole group. You're gonna be like, no, I found the one thing that is going to save me.
No,
And
but it's not that you think you're better than the group. It's just it's your life, right? It's your own it there's nothing in the world that is more yours than your life, right? And at that moment, you've been taken away that that choice without your knowledge.
you're not
You
in the
don't
driving seat anymore. Yeah, I
exactly.
understand.
So they pull you out of your driving seat and they don't let you control your own life. And I think that I think it's again morally wrong. I think you 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 are telling that person that I it's hard to put into words what my feelings are, but it's just it's I find it's just that person if somebody gets news that they're gonna die and they don't want to fight, no problem. That's your decision, your life. But for me, I don't want anybody doing that decision except if I'm incapacitated, right? If I'm a vegetable and somebody and I can't take the decision, but as long as I'm mentally sane to take that decision, I don't want anybody else taking it. I would like everybody's advice on what to do, but for example, I think that if some a doctor says, "Look, no matter what you do, you have 3 months to live," I will live my life drastically different than if I knew I had my whole life in front of me, right? I would do stuff that I would always wanted, or I would maybe bury a hatchet with an old neighbor, or you know what I mean, like make amends, you know, try to make stuff that I regret and not regret them anymore, or just start enjoying and really taking care and enjoying every single moment of your life, right? I know you
But
should be doing that
can
at
you really do that with the impending doom and dread that comes with the news that you're gonna die?
I think at one point you have to accept it, and you that's your only option, right? Because if not, you live life like you know nothing, and then you die like that, and then yeah, okay, you're dead and everything. Maybe you don't have regrets and everything since you're dead and everything, but I think if you can let that person, you know, that extra 3 months to settle everything that they have on their heart, and you take that opportunity away from them, I think it's unfair. For example, what about put yourself in that example?
Yeah,
Would you really like that your parents and your brother and everything take that decision away from you?
I would.
Okay,
I
let's say,
would.
okay, look,
I
look at
would.
it, look at it.
I would because you guys don't see the fact that your entire lives could end the very next second or
Yeah, but
hour or we
absolutely,
don't know. We have no idea. And
but
how do we go on living then? How? Why are you not making amends right now? Why are
I
you
know
not
that
doing
I agree
whatever you
with you.
want to do
I
right
agree
now?
with you that I agree with you that we should not be living. We should try to quote unquote seize the day and live your life to the fullest and do not live with regrets and you know bury the hatchet with people. I agree with you 100%. But the thing is, statistically, right? I'm not gonna be dying tomorrow, right? It could happen. It could
Statistically,
happen.
she was gonna die in 3 months.
I know, but I'm just
Not
telling you that you're taking that person's choice away. If that person wanted to fight and try to fight to live, you're taking that choice away. Maybe she would have
What
wanted
is it to fight for you? Because you're fighting
to
either
undergo.
way. Life is a
But you,
fight.
yeah, but it's to undergo medical treatment
She
if you want.
was.
Sorry.
She was. The doctor was aware of her cancer and he was like,
Yeah, but you can't hide it forever. At one point, she's gonna figure out that she has fucking cancer, right?
you can make it the most blurry you can, right? I mean, and when you're that old,
But
bro,
that's like living in blissful ignorance.
it is in some sort of way. It's
How is
actually
that
exactly
good?
that.
How is that good? Living a lie.
I understand that it might seem like a very bad thing, but I'm with that way of thinking because
It's
until
okay. There's no
until the,
problem. It's
the
just
the end, right? Like when you are actually, like when you can demonstrate, like you can see the physical state of the person getting very bad, they were like, yeah, I'm gonna tell them. And I was like, yeah, I mean, themselves, they will know, they know their body, right, that it's starting to not function well and all. So
Yeah, but the truth is that when you're at that stage of cancer, it could just like happen in a snap. You can just be sleeping in your bed, and even though you don't, don't realize it yet, you cannot, you may never wake up. So, like in that situation that Kyle gave you, like that example, imagine that like your family, your whole family knows about your situation and your sickness, and you have a fight with your brother, like a big fight, you know, or a big fight with your mom or your dad, and then 2 days later you fucking die. That's how you want to. That's how you want to leave it. That's how it's going to, you know.
that
This is going to be the last interaction that you have with your loved one, your loved ones, just because you don't know that it's like you're at the end.
I have absolutely no idea what you guys see uh, in that. That is very special, meaningful. To me, that's life, bro. Like, if we live on bad terms, it's sad, but it is what it is. And in the end, it's not that fight that is going to determine the decades of experience that we had. It's not that that's going to
I
be
don't
kept
think.
as a
No, it's
memory.
not about it's no, but it's not about determining the the full the global scope of the relationship. It's not about that. It's just that I don't know when it's time to leave. Wouldn't you want to say goodbye, like
you
a
just
proper
said
goodbye?
before. You just said before that you always found hard those goodbyes at the airport and how special some of those were.
Yeah.
And
And if you give
you
me the choice to not say goodbye, right? If it just happens without a goodbye, I would take it.
That's a funny perspective, but yeah, I respect that.
I mean,
I just
I don't
find
know.
it
You guys are so.
unusual.
It's like, I don't know. It's like you're living a book or a story or something.
it's not
No,
a
it's
book
not
or
about.
You,
story. It's
you
just
kind of
it
like
just
main character syndrome or something, or I don't know.
Nah, it's not about that. It's just that when you know it's the. I know what it is. Honestly, I know why it's like that. I know what it is. So I'm going to say it, but I know what you're going to say. But it's the last time, you know? It's the last time you see them. There's no sequel. You know what I mean? Like I think for Kyle and I, when you die, it's like it's closing time. It's roll the credits. The movie's done.
That's on you, boys.
That you see, I fucking knew it. That's why you okay with that. You like, well, if I don't see them now, I'll just wait a couple of years and then we'll see each other on the other side.
Yeah,
Ain't that right?
I do agree that if that's the case, eh, you see life so completely differently in that aspect that it I understand why you think like that,
Yeah,
right? I do. But for us, it's it's the end, right? It's like you said, end of credits. There's no more, there's no sequel, right? So for us, if you leave on a bad term, you're effectively that's the last interaction you have with that person is
yeah, yeah.
whatever. So
And I also understand that point. I just want to make it clear, right?
no, I know absolutely. I and it's perfectly normal why you now you see, I've it is absolutely important to know that fact, right? And now that I know it, I go, ah, okay, everything is clear now. Everything is I understand. Because in the beginning, I was wrestling a bit, understanding where you're coming from. I'm like, well, like I still, even after all his arguments, I still do not understand some of them. But now I get it. Now I go, ah, okay, because for you it's not the end, right? You're gonna see that person no matter what. I get it. I get it now.
I mean, I'm glad you do, but that's the thing, right? That's why there is such a stark difference between the East and the West. I think that it's about philosophy. It really is the way of life. We simply do not see eye to eye on that front. And it's not the end of the world, far from it. It's just that you always have that opportunity to pick which sides you like best. And as a person that grew up in the West and that has been immersed in the value of the West, some things of the West I greatly enjoy, and some things of the East I enjoy even more. So I pick and choose, I do my mix, and I'm happy, right? And that's what I wish everyone would be able to do. Some people are not exposed to those other ways of thinking and philosophies and would find their lives more enjoyable if they only knew. So I'm glad that we're doing a podcast like this. I'm glad we're having homeworks like these that are broadening our perspectives and making our open minds even more open.
Because
I have one question because you talk about West and East, and I agree that a lot of them have different mentalities or whatever. But Jackie, you have a family that does come from the East. Do you
yeah,
think they share the same way of thinking?
I think they would. I think they would, and that's what's funny because I think on on my father's side, I don't think I think that they would have the same kind of mentality that I have, where you should tell people because they're coming from the West. But I think on my mother's side, I think they would have similar thinking as the one that we see in the movie and the one that they have in Momo's family. So I think it would be different in the both sides. But yeah, definitely people coming from the East would have something similar about bearing the weight for yourself, carrying the weight yourself, and not you know leaving it up to the one who's sick. But it's that's why the mentalities are different, and sometimes there are some confrontations between me and the people in my family because they have some thoughts on the afterlife and on sickness and everything and the ceremonies that should be done in the afterlife. But my way of thinking is so different from theirs that when we have to discuss these subjects, it can lead to to fights very quickly.
Just like we saw in the movie, right? Why
Yes,
aren't you
exactly.
telling her and all? And they were like, girl, know your place. You don't know what's up in here. It seems you grew up a little bit. You not a little bit. You grew up in the West, and
Yeah, and it's like it's not a big, it's not like a big moment, but at one point she's like, "Dad, you shouldn't smoke," and like her uncle is just like, "Who? She's like, why are you telling him what to do? Like he's
why?
your father."
Yeah, yeah. You are. This is not your place, child. You should not try to control your parents.
Hmm. Well, you see, like me in that scene, I was like, man, you should listen to her, because yeah, of course of course it's her father and everything, but um, yeah, she can she has her opinion and it's valid. You should take it. But I get it. It's it's traditions. It's the way of life in that country and in that culture.
Yeah, I think it's just that I think especially here in the West, we give a lot of importance to individuality, right? It's
Hmm.
it's the betterment of yourself. You're just it that's the way it is here, right? So I think it's just seeing
Too
a
much, if
different
you ask
perspective.
me.
What is it?
Too much, if you ask me.
Uh, Fair enough. I agree with you. I find sometimes a lot of people are not able to look at what the group, right, is important. But I also see that on the east, I think that giving yourself too much to that mentality can be, you know, you can have a less, because at the end, again, it always comes back to what you think, right? It is at the end of the of the book, right?
Hmm.
Because for me, it's if if I don't if I'm not a bit selfish, I'm gonna be doing stuff that I do not enjoy, and that I'm not gonna be able to fulfill my life. I can maybe fulfill other people's life, but at the end of the day, if I die and I'm on my deathbed and I am not satisfied with my life, I wasn't happy, I didn't do the stuff, I have tons of regrets. Well, for me, it's not a failure, but it's just like I could have done so much more, right? Because
Yeah.
like I said, but it always comes back to what do you think happens at the end, right? So but actually no, never mind, because here in the east we have a lot of Christians and everything, and they all think of the afterlife and everything. But I still think that they're more on the more individualist side, where, for example, you in this situation, you would tell that person that, hey, no, you're sick.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it is interesting seeing how, like, for me, it's unimaginable, right? Unimaginable. But it's crazy for me to think that somebody would think like that. But then you watch a movie like that, and honestly, I still don't agree with it. But I understand how more on how they think, and having this discussion with you, I'm I'm beginning to understand more why somebody would take that decision to not let someone know that they're sick. I understand it. I don't agree with it, but I understand how so many people think like that.
Yeah.
Well, like, for example, like you, Kyle, your family comes from what we could call the East. From our point of view, I don't know if it's called the East
Yeah,
where you're
but
coming from.
it's
It's the
the
East, but it's the
it's the
non-religious East.
yeah, exactly.
So I don't know how they would deal with that mentality of um carrying the weight for other people, because
It
it's
might
I
not
know
be
that.
religious, but it was
No, it's not
political,
exact.
and it
Yes,
had
exactly.
ideology,
Yes, exactly.
and the segments that are shared was that importance of the collective.
Hmm.
So Yeah, continue, Jackie. Just I wanted to underline
Yeah,
that.
no, you're right. I mean, it's the same thing in Japan and in China. I think it's that they're not really religious states or cultures, but they are very social because like you said, of the politics that have um, passed through their countries. So this is what I was wondering. Like in your family, what would they prefer?
Like I know my grandmother, and she would like to know, right?
Hmm.
She wouldn't have liked to be kept in the dark. Um, I think it's just my I know, but this is I think maybe it could be different, right? But the thing is, she loved life, right?
Mm.
Loved spending time with me, spending time with her family, and all of that. And I think if she was in a situation like that, well, she was in a situation like that, right? She, um, about 17 years before she passed away, she had a stroke,
Hmm.
and she was left paralyzed, half her body, right? Her right side, and she lost all language, and she was destined to be in a wheelchair for the rest of her life. And I think she loved life so much, and she loved her family so much, that she fought. And those 16 years that she passed after having her stroke, she was able she was able to enjoy it relatively okay. She was able to relearn all the languages that she had forgot, and she learned how to walk, and she learned how to write with her left hand, and she
Wow.
just so all of that, it just because she wanted to live, she wanted to enjoy, she always wanted to travel. And and if, for example, she was in a situation where she didn't have that that chance to fight, I think she would have been more angry. She would have been disappointed, because at the end of the day, she preferred to quote unquote suffer, but enjoy the good things in life, right? To put all on the line, just to be able to live a rather normal life. So, but that my grandmother, I think, was, she had her personality. Now, I don't know if other people, my great great grandfather or whatever, having lived, in the Soviet countries, if they would think like that. I don't know. I would have to speak with somebody up there to really, because mine was very skewed, because she lived most of her life here. So
Mm.
Do you know at what age she immigrated?
no, so actually my grandma this is, my grandmother was born here.
Oh,
Yeah, so it's her parents that immigrated after World War I. So they fled World War I. They came and lived here, and my grandfather immigrated after World War II, and the rest of the whole. So
that's interesting. Okay.
yeah, so my grandmother, she I mean, they lived here, but in a tight community, right? Tight Ukrainian and Polish community, where you know the exterior didn't really exist, right? They day in day out, they worked at Ukrainian and Polish like quote unquote companies, Canadian companies, but they, run by
Owned,
by
yeah,
by
or ran
by
by.
exactly. So, but still, since she was born here, she you know she latched on to the Western value, Western values, right? She met other people at elementary school and everything, that maybe changed that perspective.
Hmm.
So so I can't really say what Eastern, especially, but I don't know, I still think that in Eastern culture, in Eastern Slavic culture, there was that, communism and everything where the state was so important. But I still think, though, that they still gave importance to individuals in terms of wanting to succeed and to having to have a good life. You know what I mean? I'm not saying other people are not having good lives, but I don't know. I don't know how to explain it there. But
No, I think
For all,
you explained it very well.
yeah, because I mean, for all we know, this is the culture that they have in China and for people with terminal illness. But actually, we don't know what her nana would think about it. Because maybe if you would have asked her, would you like to know if you had a terminal illness? Maybe she would have said, yeah, I would like to know. And maybe it was the same case with the grandma of the doctor, at the hospital that they meet, the young doctor that speaks English.
yeah,
He's like, we did the same thing with my grandma. So maybe like these people, if you would ask them, maybe they would say the same thing. They would say, yeah, I would prefer to know. But somehow, the family manages to know before them, and they're able to hide it.
I think it's a matter of whether you would like to know or not. Whenever it happens to someone else, you don't want them to know.
Yeah.
yeah, I
So
agree.
that's kind of spatial, yeah. Which is unfair,
I mean,
in
it
my opinion.
is. Yeah, yeah,
My
it is
opinion.
unfair. If
What
you,
they should invent, is like a machine where you ask the person, go, do you want to know or not? Well, relative, you're telling them, but you say, hey, I can tell you, I can take that quote unquote little memory apart, so you get to know what their answer is. They get to take that decision, but then they get to forget about it. I think that would be the best solution.
Yeah, yeah, that would be a great solution, actually.
but yeah, we spoke a lot about this topic because, in my opinion, it's one of the best themes that we can extract out of the movie. It it's important in terms of philosophy, in terms of ethics. We were talking about thinking about yourself versus the group, and how being too much in one is bad either way. And it made me think about Aristotle's ethics of virtue, which say that whichever extreme are not to be sought after, and you must always look at the middle point. Like in French, we say le juste milieu, which means the right middle. I don't know, the something like that to that
Yeah.
extent.
A bit of both is better than complete tunnel vision on something.
Yeah.
Because let's say, remember a couple of weeks ago we talked about Chernobyl, right?
Yes. Yes.
Hmm.
Where the state is so invested in the survival of itself, right? That it will forego individuals' liberties, right? And will take that away from them. For example, the people in Chernobyl, I think they had a right to know. You know what I mean? I know it's a more extreme version, right? Than that.
Actually, it's actually
No,
actually it's
it's
pretty
very
similar.
good. Yeah, it's
Yeah, yeah,
very similar.
yeah.
So, it's just like, should this entity, but I think what I think is different is that I think there's a difference between your family and a fucking government, right? Like
Yeah.
one you grew up with, them, they're part of you, kind of. While the other one is just something that makes you construct roads and shit. So
An entity, yeah, like you said. It's not but to me, right, if we think about Chernobyl, there was a part of the movie where they were talking about what if this happened in the States? The States, the United States of America, that's what I meant by that. It was said that they would have made a perimeter and evacuated everyone, and it was just too dangerous for mankind to be in that perimeter and just lock it off, right? Because there is nothing left to be done. Machinery cannot resist to, at least at that time, to the potency of the radioactive waves. Um, and human beings even less. So they would have evacuated. But in Soviet Russia, in the USSR, they actually sacrificed men to fix something that could have caused even greater
True.
destruction in the end. And that's where the group versus individual shines again. It's horrible to use lives of family men and women as a way of getting the job done. But by getting the job done, they saved I don't know how many more people and how many more um animals and trees, and because it was going to contaminate the water and it was going to spread to hundreds of kilometers, thousands of kilometers, and cause a great ecological devastation, right? So it's rough. What's his name? Zuko would say, "That's rough, buddy." There is no right answer.
No, no, that I think I at the end I think it's like you said. There's no. I don't think there's a correct answer to it. I think there's positive pros and cons on each one there. So it's just I think maybe another solution to instead of you erasing, right? Maybe uh, not when that person's sick, but everybody should have a discussion and say, hey, if ever I find out I'm sick, I don't want to know, you know, let me know. Let me know. So like that in 20 years when you do, if ever you get cancer or something like that, well, you can just go look at that letter and say, okay, he doesn't want to be told, so forget about it.
I see what you mean. Just like that card we have that we check and put the sticker on to
Exactly.
indicate if we want to give our organs at death or not. You would say, yo, if I'm sick, please don't inform me, inform my family. Thank you.
Not exactly that. They should do that. We should invent that.
I mean, as the West, right? The land of the freedom of choice, I think it would be absolutely the right thing to do. It would be progressive in my mind.
Oh, 100% there. I think we should invent this. How about make a card and I don't know if it would catch on though.
I don't know. I think Jackie is AFK for.
No, I'm not AFK. I'm good.
Yeah, yeah. If you wanted to bounce back on that idea.
Um, I guess you could do it, but I don't know. I would just remember it. I would be like I would go to the doctor like 50 years from now, and I would be like, so is everything all right? He would be like, actually, yeah, everything's fine. I'm like, I remember I signed that car, so.
Oh, okay, okay.
But I would anyway I would sign to know it. I would sign to be informed. I would like to know,
My
so
man.
it wouldn't matter.
But you see, I think I'm changing my answer. I think it's not wrong to do it in this situation for the grandmother because she did it to her own husband, right?
She did it,
So
and she was talking about it, how it was the good thing to do in her mind and all.
exactly.
Yeah.
So I think I'm changing. I think that it's not morally wrong to do it because there's like a 95% chance that she would be okay with it. You know what I mean? Like because
Oh, okay,
she's
I
the
see what you mean now. Because I was like, my man's saying morally wrong. That's very, very charged as a statement.
I think it. Yeah, I don't. So I disagree that it's morally wrong. I don't think so. I'm changing my opinion completely, right? However, I think it would be morally wrong to do that to me, but to do it to do it to somebody that has already done it and is aware that this is a thing and is okay with that, and like I said, would probably have signed that card to say don't fucking tell me, right? So yeah, I think in this situation, if the culture
Yeah, but
and
well, you
people.
say that, but at the same time, you would be like, you know, we can all agree that it's easier to say like, I could carry the weight for somebody else. I could live with myself by not telling them, but I would like to know. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like
no, you're
it's
right,
easier
you're
to
right.
say like on like me personally, I would like to know, but I understand that I can do it for somebody else. So this is where it gets a bit tricky.
It is tricky, it is. But
I
Kyle
don't think
was
it's the
talking
right.
in terms of statistics. I really can't pronounce myself if it's actually 95% of chances that she would be down with that, but
Yeah,
you
I
can
I
see
don't.
it as a way of paying for her sins, right? She did it to her husband, so now people are going to do it for to her.
Yeah, it's like, well, you wanted to do that? Okay, no problem. We'll do the same thing to you.
You know, it
So
is
I
what it
guess.
is. You do to your neighbor what you would like the neighbor to do for you, right?
No, absolutely. And at the end, like I said, if if you kind of have to respect the culture and respect that person. At the end, that's all what I always. I'm not changing my discourse when I'm saying that. At the end, I want what that person wants, right? And if that person is okay with it and doesn't want to be told, right? And
Hmm.
you don't have a direct confirmation, but through actions and speak throughout years and everything, I think you could kind of, approximate it.
Yeah,
But
but where it gets messier is that do we always know what's best for ourselves?
true.
Oh, I got a
You see?
feeling. I got
No,
a feeling.
no, but you,
My
you s-
man is spitting truth.
no, you see, like sometimes you know when you're heading towards a bad decision, like a really bad decision, and somebody just like snatched the liberty from you to make the decision, and turns out they were right. Turns out they were right. So,
Just
you know,
like those first moments where you were learning how to drive with your dad and you were going straight to a wall and then he takes the wheel and saves both of you.
hmm.
It's like
Yeah,
sometimes it's okay to give the driving seat to someone else, you know?
yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
no,
th-
absolutely.
that's why that's why it's messy because of course you can say, well, if this is what the person wants, then we should just leave it that. And I agree with that. I mean, this is how it should be. But the truth is that like we cannot always make the best decision for ourselves because everyone makes mistakes. And
But
it's
but
I mean,
let me counter that.
yeah.
Um, what happens if it's at the end, right? I agree that maybe sometimes you do not know what's best for you, right?
Hmm.
But we're not talking about here somebody accepting treatment or not. It's not knowing if you're dying or not. There's no if it's good for you or not, right? It's a fact. You're gonna die. That's it, right there.
I
In
don't know,
my
man. I just want to circle back to the same arguments we had a couple minutes ago. Like, I think this discussion is getting repetitive.
Yeah, I guess it.
Because
it
every time you say that, I'm like, yeah. And then you're like, yeah, I know. And then,
but I'm torn on the idea. No, I'm not. I'm still keeping my new thing about that. If at the end, I want what the person wants, right? And if that person
Yeah,
wants to do
yeah.
that. But when I'm kind of disagreeing with is that Jackie says you other people have know better what to do, absolutely in some circumstances. But let's say somebody knew and decided, hey, I'm not going through treatment, then that's where I'm like, okay, well, somebody else maybe can take that decision, better that decision for you, because I don't know if I'm explaining correctly.
Yeah, I'm not sure about what you
Yeah,
said
you might want
right
to
there.
rephrase it or take
Yeah.
a.
Okay, so there's there's one that is a decision. Okay, it's not a decision, right? The situation is you're dying. That's all.
Okay.
It's you
Yeah.
knowing and not knowing.
Mm-hmm.
However, when you're saying, Jackie, that when it's messy is maybe you don't know what's good for you, like you don't know best. But the
Mm-hmm.
thing is, it's not you know best or not. You're not making a
Mm-hmm.
decision. It's like when Momo just talked about him driving and his dad took it. His dad knew that Momo was doing a wrong choice to move his I don't know, put his foot on the gas, right? And and his dad decided to prevent that bad decision. But it's a
Mm-hmm.
decision. The other one I think is it's not a decision. It's you're fucking dying or not. You know what I mean? It's like
Oh yes, yes, yes. No, I know
that's what
what
I
you mean,
meant.
but okay, yeah, yeah, I get it. No, but me it was always in the perspective that if you can make a if you've done like previously the choice of saying like I want to know or I don't want to know if I get sick. Like it
Yeah.
was
Oh,
in
Okay.
that
okay.
Okay.
perspective.
Okay. I get it. I get it.
And I want to add for that topic that we don't take into consideration the fact that some people will absolutely be devastated by the news, right? And would not be able to resume as
Normal
normal.
life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And maybe, right? Maybe it is best for them to be not in the know.
So, I, so lying is okay.
Lion is okay.
Okay. That, that that's a valid answer.
Lying is okay. There are good lies in life.
Fair enough. Fair enough. I don't. Like I said, I think we're both right. I don't. I don't think there's anybody that is in the wrong. I think there's different world views, and I don't think they contradict each other. Means that one society can live a certain way, and if that's their choosing, no problem, and another society can choose another way to behave and whatever, and that's okay also.
Do you think that it's possible to do it in the same society?
Hmm.
Like the
Good question.
card system we were talking about? Would that be viable for you?
Yeah, as long as you don't, as long as one group does not, um, oppress the other group for that choice. If for example here in Canada your family decides to act that way and it doesn't hinder on me or anybody else, then you do you. You know what I mean? If you don't want to tell a family member that they're gonna their mother is gonna pass away or something like that in 6 months, there's no problem.
Well,
As long
actually,
as
like there's just one scene in that movie. I just wanted to bounce back on that because at one point she's like, what we're doing. Like it's Billy. Like she's talking with her uncle and her dad, and she's like, what we're doing right now, not telling her. In the U.S. that would be illegal, but you
Mm-hmm.
couldn't do that. I don't know about Canada, but like what she's saying is that in the U.S. you couldn't do that. You couldn't like just go in and not telling people that they're sick.
I was
So.
surprised, but at the same time, not really, because there is that notion with the doctor and the patient that whatever is
Mhm.
said is private and is,
Yeah, and
you know.
confidential. Like this is the biggest surprise surprise for me in the whole movie is that at the start of the movie, when she's going to the hospital, it's like it's the sister that goes in to see the doctor so that they can have a chat.
What a
This is like so
what
weird to me.
exactly? What a weird scene that I didn't
Yeah.
pay too much attention to, but yeah, now that
Well,
I think about it, exactly.
yeah. And if you think about it, exactly, this situation is almost impossible to happen here in Canada because
Mm-hmm.
doctors go see the patients, right? There's no like, oh no, we're not gonna go. No, it just happens. They go. They
Exactly.
they
So
they let the information. Yeah, that's good. Big reflection, huh? This episode.
I mean, one day, like if we truly want to have like some, you know, being a bit more open-minded and have a truly multicultural country, which is what we should try to achieve in some parts. Maybe like one day, like your idea of a cartel could be adopted. It could be we could do a bill and it could pass because I mean I think it's kind of a good idea if some people are more comfortable living this way,
But
which to me is
you know what's
surprising.
gonna happen next, though.
What's gonna happen next?
Some people will feel threatened, and they will say that it clashes with the present values of the society, and that it must be fought against.
Yeah, well, in some part they're right because well, that's what's
You
tricky, you
see,
know.
you too, you give them the you
No, but
give them the right. You said that.
yeah, because they're right in some parts. Because okay, all right, you have like this first generation of immigrants that arrive in this country, and they're like in our culture, this is the way we do it. Like we don't tell the patient that they're sick. Okay, all right, the government says all right, but then these people have children here, and mm, like maybe they will stick to the traditions of their family, maybe they will not, or maybe it's going to be a mix of the Western and Eastern cultures. And then these people, when they get sick at like when it's their turn, maybe they don't want that. Maybe that's not what they want.
You see, that's I find the unfortunate part with this whole conundrum, right? It's just that
Mm,
we want, I think everybody, and I even you, I think Momo is number one is you you want the best for that person, right? And unfortunately, with one situation, with both situation actually, you you can't give that to that person, right? Because on one hand, telling that person you're taking away that right of not knowing, but then on the other hand, if you take that right of not knowing, you well, if you don't tell that person, you take away the right of knowing. So just
yeah.
on both aspects, you're a loser, right? Because at the end, you can't really give 100% of the time what that person wants. Because maybe you're right that somebody wants to. But, anyways, I think,
That,
yeah,
that's why, like, I think that if you kill people before they get to 50, you won't get that many people that get cancer. So you can solve a part of the problem right there.
It would be a solution. I do
one
not know
thing,
if it's desirable, though.
one thing that I want to really mention there is I found that almost every shot was this. It's nothing to do with the uh, morality of the story. Anything I found was just so beautiful. I found that almost every you can pause it and it would be almost a painting. You know what I mean? I found that there was some shots there. I One of my favorite scenes of the whole movie is when she's talking to her uncle
Hmm.
in that street. I just found that scene so
Mm.
so gorgeous, and also when they're at the cemetery at the end.
Yeah,
I don't know. I found those two were just just beautiful.
One that I want to give a special shout out to is the wedding photo shoot
Yeah.
where Billy and the grandma are talking together as the newly wedded couple are taking pictures in different backgrounds, right? That are pretty beautiful.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think that movie deserves also a big shout out for the soundtrack.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
you know, as soon as it started, like the first notes at the beginning of the movie, I was like, "Ooh, this soundtrack's gonna be lit," and it was because I'm a big fan of vocals played out like that with
Ah,
classical music,
I
and
didn't think it was very memorable.
I liked it a lot. I liked it a lot, and even the the song at the end. It's a song from Leonard Cohen, but it's I think it's not it's another group of people that sing it, but I really liked it, the whole soundtrack. And even when she
The
plays the
lyrics are amazing, but I thought that the rendition wasn't that good and it lasted too long. But you
oh
know,
you're really okay, that's okay, that's surprising.
yeah, yeah,
I really
I
liked
like my man. He was like so happy about the music, and I'm like, bro, I kind of forgot everything about it, and the things I remember are not positive. So, but there was that part where she plays piano,
it. Yeah,
Yeah.
and what she played was fire. So that I
yeah,
do
you know
remember.
there was like this mix of anger and not confusion, but this this power inside the music. You
Yeah,
could feel that she was angry and that she was sad and that it was just anger and anger just mounting and mounting, boiling inside her. So
I
it
loved
was
it.
a great scene.
Like I told you, mid movie, I was about
Yeah, it
to
was like
rewind and
yeah,
Shazam it, you know?
yeah.
You know.
And
Yeah. Go ahead. Go ahead.
yeah, I just wanted to add it's a nice touch that they mentioned that whole story about the way that she learned piano when she was in the States, and then they're like, do you play anymore? And she's like, no, I don't. I stopped playing. And then she just goes in the apartment and she starts playing while they're all talking at the table, and they just all turn back and they look at her, and you can see that even though that she stopped playing, she kept that, and she's still very talented.
Yeah. And not only that, the way it was portrayed, where everyone was talking and she plays very loudly with lots of anger, as you said, and
Hmm.
slowly it takes over the discussion and everybody
Yes.
shuts up.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah. So you were
Thing.
saying, Kyle?
Yeah. So I find there's sometimes actors where um they always play in a movie, right? But they always play like a secondary character or like not like they're meant to be not memorable, right? They're meant to be like just like uh the mother, right? Or the dad, but they always come up. They're always there, but you don't know their names. That was my uh, experience with the dad,
Yeah.
right? That actor, I seen him everywhere. He's in everything, right? I like in my mind it's like if you think old dad Chinese man, you think of him because that's what he always fucking plays, right?
Just like maybe video game voice actor for mid-aged man. Boom, Nolan North.
Exactly. Exactly. So it's just like but Nolan North has name recognition. I find some actors don't have, and honestly, this was he was always good in his other roles, but I found in this movie he was incredible because like I don't know when he's talking with Billy there and they're having like this they have connection. They honestly I was like this could be her dad. Like
Yeah,
the way that I it hats off to the script there, but that exchange for real, it was just like oh my god, this is like this could be actual conversations. It's not. It doesn't seem fake. It seems so real. It seems like it's 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 real. And I don't know, the performance that and the script. I find one of that when she's with her dad there on the bed there is just hats off. I think it's one of the breakout scenes.
Yeah,
And
great
and
performance.
yeah, his name is Tsima, and
Sima.
that's gonna be a name I remember because honestly, I'm a fan of him.
Yeah, man, I think that you're right. They do deserve more name recognition. And type his name more in your social media. Say his name in
or
discussions, right?
yeah,
Let's try
or
to get him some more name recognition.
but you see why I think the more we talk about it, the more I like the movie because I remember going into the movie and I was like, Aquafina, like, come on, she played in that fucking Crazy Rich Asian movie, and like just she's she's was more comedic, right?
I
And
do
she
not
played in
know her, and when you said her name, I thought it was a joke. It was like
no
the
no
brand
that's
of the water bottle.
no but that's her. But like she played in she's like and it's if you know her personality, she's so um
Jovial?
like no like this I don't know how to explain this like this tiny girl that like she'll beat you up, like she I don't know how it's like a tough girl kind of attitude and just like this she always wears like I don't know how to explain it, but that's her characters she played in like she played in Crazy Rich Asian, Ocean 8. No, she plays like this loud obnoxious character and her her persona in front of the camera even in interviews is like that. So it was so jarring when I went in it. I was like, I don't really like Aquafina, but then after that, again, I'm a fan of her now.
Anything else
Just
to
to
say, guys?
nah,
What a
I'm
great!
pretty
Yeah, I
much
mean, I agree with that. It was a great performance. And I mean, like Kyle said, the directing, the acting, the script. I think that everything in that movie was great, and it leaves a very great impression of the whole thing. When I think about it, I thought, you know what? At first, before seeing it for the second time, I was like, it's going to be the same thing. I'm just going to rewatch it and I'm going to see the scenes that I remembered. But it captivates you and it brings you back in, and it's emotional as hell. It's it's a great journey.
yeah.
Last words for me, I would agree with both of you. I think you said all the praise that we could. Maybe we could even add more if we had more
More time.
time, yeah. But it was a pleasure. It was a movie I never heard of. It was a movie I never watched the synopsis of, no trailers. I went in completely blind. The farewell, that's all I knew about the movie. And I came out of it more than pleased. I was impressed. I was satisfied. I was emotionally touched. I felt like this was needed. Like it's a good reminder of what life is about for the people like me, right? Who greatly value their family and that social aspect of life. And yeah, um, thanks again for the homework, Jackie.
It was my pleasure. I mean, I knew Kai wanted to suggest it as a homework, so I was like, you know what, I'm just gonna suggest it this week because I know it will bring a great discussion, and it was a great discussion. I really enjoyed speaking about the different subjects of the movie, different themes, because I know we have different perspectives, so that's why it's always interesting to discuss these things.
Now it's my turn to give you guys a homework.
Yes, Yes.
but
So
I really didn't think much of it until like right now I read. I hope it's a fake news, but it seems to be true. I just read that the great, the late Kintaro Miura has passed away. The author of Berserk. He wrote a series that has been enjoyed by millions. One of the most renowned mangas out there. It's not a shonen, it's a seinen. It's known for its story, for its art, and I would love you guys maybe not to read all of it because it's over 300 chapters. I think it's 360 maybe, and now it's ended because I do not think anyone is going to continue his work. But I think it's important. I think it's a manga that dared to do something that not many other pieces of fiction dared to do, and it explores themes that are incredible to me, right? Just like family is important, I think the themes Berserk explores is also amazing. So if you guys want to read as much as possible, or if you like it, want to finish it, but not for the next week, right? But like
Well,
we could
I
postpone for upcoming podcasts, but
that it is actually something that I've always wanted to read. I did try to give a watch to the anime, but unfortunately, it's the anime art style is not something that I enjoyed, so I stopped it.
you did good.
However, however, I've always heard in every goddamn top tier 10 tier list of anime, Berserk is always floating there. So I'm actually it's give I've always postponed it, said I'll read it, but I never do. So I'm actually interested to read it and even read it all. So if ever what we can do is we read about a bit about it this week. If we enjoy it, we can say, hey, give me more time, I'll finish it and we can have a discussion about it.
Or we could do weekly updates of our readings.
We can do that, yeah,
Like
absolutely.
we set a goal by next week, we must reach chapter 20, let's say, something like that. Maybe it's too slow, 20 chapter per week, but like
Well,
something like that, a
well,
format like
w-
that, maybe.
we'll talk about it because maybe I'll love it and I'll binge read all 364 episodes in the
Yeah,
in a week. So let's wait. Let's in the next couple days we'll speak uh on what the format will be,
good.
and we'll
So,
let you know.
Jackie, any last words for the podcast?
no, I'm good. I mean, uh, you've always spoken so highly of Berserk, so I'm very curious to see what it is. I've no idea what it's about. I know there's a lot of pain. That's all I know.
Lots of
A lot of
pain and
suffering.
suffering, yes.
Yeah. So
Hey,
yeah, I'm
by knowing
excited to see.
our taste, do you think Jackie would like it, and I would I would like it?
Um, it's complicated. It's complicated. It's a manga, right? And I do not believe that Jackie has particularly had like a memorable experience with any manga ever. Like he always liked the anime adaptation of mangas better. He might has to read Death Note to be able to compare both of them since he enjoyed Death Note so much and it's not too long of a read. But I don't know for Jackie. So um, and for you, I think you would like it. Yes, I think you will like it.
All
And
I need.
in terms of themes, right? I think it will speak to everybody. But then again, it's all about how much of suspension of disbelief you have. And Jackie, sometimes he has a great deal of it, but sometimes he just doesn't want to suspend his disbelief.
If it's well done, I'll give it a shot.
I mean, you suspended your disbelief enough for butt naked titans, so that might be like no. How do we say it? That might not be too much for you. It should be all right.
All right, we'll see. I mean, I'm pretty open-minded. I'm never too picky.
Good. So until next time, my boys, eat well, sleep well. Remember to always brush your teeth and floss them. And yeah, take care.
Yeah. Ciao, ciao.
Take care, everyone. Ciao, ciao.